you say we cut the chit-chat? A-hole!
This year we're going to grab the bull by the balls and kick those punks off campus.
Well, looks like the cows have come home to roost.
Welcome to another edition of the movie show brought to you by Odeon Cinemas, who are showing Oscar contender Detroit 2 weeks before its release in cinemas on August 8. You can actually purchase tickets for the 10th Catherine Bigelow drama over on odeoncinemas.ie. Sure, we'll give away some tickets anyway. Just tell us which film Bigelow won her Oscar for. It's a cracking film, and it was quite historic actually, her winning the Oscar for it. I'm joined as always by Brian M. Lloyd. I said L, you got very upset there a second ago. And Dee Malumbi, who've just about recovered from having an insane comedian person in last week. Brian did a stellar job presenting the show last week. I had the black lung. I had the black lung. So I kind of threw you in the deep end that morning. But you handled it very well.
I have to be honest with you, right? He was, if you go back and watch last week's show, I don't know how you know, he literally just did 20 minutes of stand-up. That's literally all he
that's
did.
What comedians do.
You know, free show, so.
Free show,
But,
the guys had the crack, right? The guys stood around and watched the show. They had an audience. There's no audience this week.
No.
Like, no audience this week because there's no Deadpool 2 star this week. Like, bullshit. You know?
No.
But anyway, well done. You did very well.
Thanks, but he basically just did, like, he literally just sat and talked for 20 minutes, like he did his stand-up set, which is great. I hear the shows did well, and
which is brilliant.
I was at the festival on the Friday night, and the first two comedians I saw were really funny, and then the second two must have been jet lagged or something. And there's nothing more uncomfortable than being in a small room where comedians are dying. There's nothing more, and you're like, we were 2 rows in front. We were like, just don't make eye contact. Just don't make eye contact. But sure, that's the crack of festivals as well, I suppose.
True.
Okay, we've got reviews to talk this week, but before that, we're going to talk the Irish box office, Brian.
Yes.
So you've been doing you did a piece earlier in the week, kind of talking about the Irish box office, specifically talking about Dunkirk and how strong a hold it had. But let's talk about the top 10 of the year so far in Ireland, because they're really interesting numbers, because it's, you know, we're used to seeing the domestic box office, so that's what they call it in the US.
True.
Whether films a gauge of a hit, maybe more so in China now as well. So okay, let's break down the top 10 of the year so far in Ireland. He's got a piece of paper. Dee Malumbi wrote it for him. Brian wanted to pull out his phone, kind of operation, and we fucking running here. Like, anyway, go on. Sorry, Brian.
So the
run through them quickly there, and then we'll talk about
really quickly. Okay, number 10, La La Land. Number 9, Dunkirk, and Dunkirk is only 2 weeks in. And already it's impressive. Number 9 in the Irish.
Hasn't
box
had
office.
2 weekends yet, even, has it?
It's on its first weekend. Okay. Spider-Man: Homecoming is number 8. Fast and Furious is at 7. Lego Batman Movie is number 6. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is number 5. Boss Baby is number 4. Despicable Me is at 3. Sing is at 2. And Beauty and the Beast is the number 1. Currently the number 1 Irish film.
Nearly €6 million.
Nearly €6 million. Now, the thing what you noticed about there was the top 3 were all animated films. There's a really simple reason for that, right? More often than not, animated movies will have a way longer shelf life at cinemas than, you know, the likes of Logan or something like that, or the likes of La La Land or
Kids Club movies, all that stuff.
Exactly, Kids Clubs movies. And it's the kind of thing as well that when it's coming up to the likes of bank holidays and stuff from schools, you know, like bank holidays, weeks off or whatever, they'll put those films back on heavy rotation. So the parents will just bring them straight to the cinema, be like, oh yeah, well, they haven't got to see the Boss Baby yet. Grand, we'll go to see that. So that's why animated films always make way more money than, you know, the films that you think would make a lot of money, like, you know, Logan or Dunkirk or Guardians of the Galaxy or whatever. Buzz
doesn't necessarily translate into box office. No. Were you surprised by any of the names on the list?
I was a bit disappointed at the lack of Wonder Woman.
I
have to say. A bit disappointed by that, but no, I'm not surprised at all at Beauty and the Beast being number 1. We were talking a bit just before we got on there about Boss Baby being number 3. That was a bit of a surprise. Sing, I know that Sing was running for weeks and weeks and weeks, so I'm not too surprised about that. There aren't any major surprises there, I would think. But some interesting ones in there. My personal favorite of those would be like probably Lego Batman Movie. I thought that was so good. I actually rewatched it over the weekend.
And that's one of those kind of cross-generational ones as well. Like, you know, the families can go along, and I know you've got a little sister, so you can kind of go along and get some of the in-jokes too, and that seems to translate into the box office as well. That, you know, people can, like, you can essentially go and see it without the kids.
Completely.
And still enjoy it too.
But with Dunkirk though, Dunkirk is another one as well. We're talking about cross-generational stuff. Like Dunkirk, I was at a screening of it the other day, and what I found really, really interesting was that you had, like, on one hand, you had teenagers at it, right, who were about, like, 15 or 16 years old. Maybe they were there for Harry Styles, maybe they were there because it was Christopher Nolan and he did the Batman trilogy or whatever. And then at the same time, you had people who were, like, about 50s, 55, possibly even older, going to see it as well. So, like, there's this massive, you know, appeal for this film. And, like, plus as well, it's, you know, it's whatever it is, 2 weeks in the cinema now, and it's nearly at 2 million. It's at 1.9 million already. It only dropped 23%
on its second weekend.
On its second weekend. Now that's unheard of.
That's word of mouth. That's essentially word of mouth, isn't it?
That's completely unheard of. Most films will usually drop between 40 and 50% on their second week. To drop 23%, that's pretty rare.
Yeah,
like that's really, really rare. So yeah, as you say, it's word of mouth.
Okay, speaking of films that have made a fortune at the box office, one of the biggest bombs.
The other end.
This one was going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say from day one. It's based on a French comic book. And it's Luc Besson, who's been so hit and miss throughout his career. I mean, he produced a lot of stuff. Eurocorp, he's one of the directors in there as well. The Taken movies. Lucy made a fortune at the box office, which was really good fun too. Obviously, he's made stuff like Leon and stuff over the years, and The Fifth Element, and this Valerian
and the City of 1,000 Planets. It is quite a mouthful.
You didn't mind it so much. Your review was kind of like,
I didn't hate it. I still I gave it 2.5 stars because it's still not good. I mean, the main issue is the casting, like Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan. It's so hard to say that name. Yeah, and really hard to say their names. Yeah. But like they have no chemistry whatsoever, and they're meant to be these two like big romantic leads. Like when I saw the trailers for this, I thought they were meant to be just friends, but no, he's like proposing to her in the first scene, and
I thought it was brother and sister. Actually,
yeah,
weird.
they have that kind of like they're kind of bouncing off each other.
That kind of like unusual looking model look to them.
Yeah, and the fact that they're kind of just like ripping the piss out of each other all the time, but not even in kind of a romantic way or anything. They just seem real chummy, and even like seeing interviews and stuff, it's the same. There's no like spark there. So that was really weird, first of all, because you're banking on, you know, you having an emotional connection to these characters.
And a chemistry.
A chemistry. And they're not very charismatic either. They're really poorly written. I mean, the good things about this movie was it is quite beautiful at times. Like there are some gorgeous designs of like the planets and the aliens and stuff like that. And there are some very like Fifth Element moments in it. Now I'm a big fan of the Fifth Element. I don't know. I know other people like think it's like.
No, I really liked Fifth Element. It looks gorgeous, and that's the one thing. That is the one thing you could always say about Luc Besson films is that even if there might be absolutely nuts, like Lucy is nuts when you say it out loud. When you actually describe the plot of Lucy out loud, it sounds nuts. But visually, it had everything going for it, like, and it's the same with this as well. I would imagine. I haven't seen it.
I think Lucy's a funny one because it's not cerebral per se. Like it's not necessarily a smart film, but it's different.
Yeah,
like it's kind of an alternative action blockbuster, and it was interesting to see how much money it made at the box office. And that's obviously gotten on the back end for this one. But I mean, is it the leads that kind of sink it for you, or is it the writing? Because talk about the Fifth Element.
Both.
I mean, the Fifth Element had Bruce Willis, I think, coming off the back of Die Hard: Revengeance. You know, he was shit-eating grin in his prime, mid-90s Bruce Willis. So, you know, that was one of the reasons why I thought that film worked. Not Chris Tucker.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, Rihanna makes an appearance in this movie, and I mentioned in my review, and her character almost seems to function like in a similar way to his, and that like, what are they kind of doing there and in this universe? But somehow it kind of works because it's just absolute madness, and it's when he kind of goes all out and he just goes for like the crazy, like mad stuff that this movie works better, you know. But like, it's just. You know what? I feel like it was kind of made with maybe a younger audience in mind, in that it was a little kind of like simpler or something, and also like the casting in it. Like I don't know which audiences would go to see that cast besides say teenagers.
I think it's. I mean, it obviously hasn't been funded in the US because I think they'd find it very difficult to get a studio to back this. $180 million. I think, or euros,
something like that,
and you know, neither Dane DeHaan, I think, is a really strong actor.
But he can't open a film at all.
Well, it's not even about opening a film. He hasn't fronted many films, you know, like, and it's about like Michael Fassbender's never really opened a film on his own name, but he's still one of the most talented directors working in actors working in modern cinema. Like that's obviously a that plays a part in the box office.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what like happened with, I suppose, Lucy in a way, with Scarlett Johansson ended up being like this major box office star, which they weren't expecting as much at the time, you know.
Yeah, but it didn't happen for Ghost in the Shell for Scarlett Johansson after anyway. But
No.
Fairness.
We might see a Black Widow movie one day. Okay, there's 2 other films we're going to review this week as well. Speaking of TJ Miller,
I'm really glad we didn't waste our time asking about this with him last week, because it is not a good movie.
It's making money as well. Emoji Movie.
That's because stupid kids are going to see it.
Stupid kids.
Yeah, and parents are bringing their kids because it's emojis and it's full of color. But please, any parents who are watching this, don't bring your kids to it. It's a stupid movie and you'll make your kids stupid watching it. Just don't do it. It's child abuse.
Services.
Please don't bring them to watch this movie. Please.
That's how you really feel, like, you know.
But like Jesus, like, I mean, you look at it like it's a film about emojis, like how.
Yeah.
I mean, I like when stuff when the bar is kind of lowered. And again, I'll use the example that I always use, which is of Hot Tub Time Machine.
Which is
comedic gold. Comedic gold. And you hear the title of that film and you're like, that's shite. Then you see it and you're like, gold.
But it's gold. But like, I tell you what, the Lego Movie has a lot to answer for. The Lego Movie has a lot to answer for.
There's another Lego Ninja movie coming out now as well.
Yeah, Lego Ninjago, yeah.
That could work.
Yeah. But see, this is it, because like people saw the Lego Movie and thought, right, there's a film that was basically plucked out of thin air. It's about building blocks, and they managed to turn it into this whole thing of, you know, there's an entire universe, and you know, it can actually be a good film, and it can be about creativity and imagination and all this kind of stuff, and how all these are positive things. And then on the other end of the spectrum is, let's make a film about emojis, and let's get Patrick Stewart playing the ball of shit.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah. That's it.
Seth Morris had great crack with Patrick Stewart.
And like,
you had him on the show.
Well.
Patrick Stewart's going from the best performance of his career, one of the best comic book movies of all time. Logan was incredible, and I was like, I just took the paycheck. Now I have to go out there.
And this is it.
Piece of shit.
You can see him as well. Like, you can see he's just like, you know what, the money. I'm just doing this for the money. I'm just here. Just let's get these questions over and done with. I'm goodbye. Like, the defeat in that man's eyes. It's hard to take, because I watched him like from The Next Generation. Like, I've following him for years.
I think what we'll say is, like, before we go into Maudie, you're going to talk about Maudie quickly, Brian. What we'll say is there's a lot of really good movies out around now. There's seek some stuff out. Dunkirk, if you haven't seen Dunkirk, obviously that's an absolute cracker. I know you guys, I'd seen The Big Sick. I know Dave wasn't overly mad about it last week.
Mad about it, no.
I really liked it. So there's a lot out there that you can go to the cinema and see and like really enjoy. Just not anything that's out this week. Although Maudie's is Ethan Hawke, Sally Hawkins. Sally Hawkins was my first ever sit down interview with somebody. My first ever interview was Colin Meaney. Gonna run the bollocks off himself. And then with Sally Hawkins, I interviewed her. She was over for the film festival. Got to sit down with her, and she was really lovely. Incredible actress. What's the crack with this one, Brian? This one's kind of flown under the radar.
It's a little bit, it's very much like, it was actually funny you should say festivals, because it was shown at the at ADIF, and it did like really, really well, and it got a really positive response. And it's very much one of these films that, it is very much flying under the radar. Ethan Hawke and Sally Hawkins play this couple who come together. It's set in like the 50s in Nova Scotia. Sally Hawkins plays this artist who has rheumatoid arthritis, which basically means that her bones are all kind of, I suppose it's very difficult for her to actually paint and actually move and talk and what have you. And she meets Ethan Hawke, who's this sort of like fishmonger who's like really gruff and, you know, has a really bad attitude and just, you know, but she
fishmonger who plays by his own rules.
Yeah, that kind of buzz. Yeah, but she manages to soften him a little bit, and they eventually end up getting married. And she starts to paint his little cabin and becomes this sort of folk hero.
Cut to the chase, Brian.
It's really good. No, it's really good. No, I mean, it is very well done.
You weren't selling the film to me at all. I was like,
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the kind of film that it is very much intended for a certain audience.
Like a Lassie Hallstrom movie from like the 90s. Or like
you hit the nail. That's exactly it.
Who directed this one?
It was a woman called Aislinn Walsh. She was an Irish director.
She did was it Song for a Raggy Boy or something?
I think that was it. I think that was it. No, it's really well directed. Like, I mean, it looks gorgeous.
It's amazing to see an Irish director
do that well. Yeah, really well. And like,
so it's kind of a nice little character-driven.
Very
drama,
much
very much a drama.
Yeah, very much like a drama. Yeah, very much kind of like, think, you know, My Left Foot.
I was thinking
it's
My
that
Left
kind of
Foot.
buzz. Yeah, it's very like My Left Foot, and like Sally Hawkins. I mean, the performance she gives in this is fantastic, and it is up there with Daniel Day-Lewis in
She's that
My
good.
Life. She's that good. Like
She's that good an actress, I will say. But
That's what I'm saying.
performance is that good.
Yeah, like this is it. If a man had done this performance, you'd be saying, "Oh my God, it's like Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot." It's really that similar. Like,
I think Sally Hawkins is really going to be one of those actors that just works and works and
Consistent.
works, because directors are going to get obviously first-hand experience to see how good she is.
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer actually for the new Guillermo del Toro movie she's
Water.
in?
Shape
I'm
of Water.
really excited for that. I mean, it kind of looks, I don't know, like it could go either way. It could like be really cool and fantastical, or kind of like lame, a bit like it reminds
you
me a
ever
bit of
filmed
Lady in the
Benicio del
Water
Toro's
or
or
something.
I'm not on the Guillermo del Toro bandwagon at all.
Really?
Oh,
No.
really?
Why
Him
not?
and his opulent bleeding gothic show. Come on now, like
Come on,
God,
now,
I
but
like
like,
cost
the
$200 million
Gothic,
and they made, and they're just like
yeah, but like, do you know, like it's like Crimson Peak. The way I loved Crimson Peak, and
didn't.
do you know what? A lot of people didn't like it. No, fair.
Personal taste, you know.
No, I'll be fair to you. I'll be fair to you. Not a lot of people like Crimson Peak. I love fucking Crimson Peak, and here's why I love Crimson Peak. Because it was basically like, imagine if you had an episode of Downton Abbey, but it was directed by Stanley Kubrick on the most strongest peyote you can think of.
no, it wasn't.
It was. It looked gorgeous.
There wasn't a sniff of Stanley Kubrick over that.
But
film.
I'm saying it looked really gorgeous, and it was really well designed, and
his best film, lads. His best film. You ready? You ready? We're gonna end on this. His best film, Blade 2. Blade 2. Let that sink in. Let that shit sink
No,
in.
It's good.
No,
It's a good
that's-
film. It's a good film, but it's not his best
Pan's
film.
Labyrinth and Chronos and
Nah,
stuff like that.
Blade 2. Blade 2. I'm just winding up everybody in the comments
You
now.
really
We're getting
are.
dogs
Pacific
abuse.
Rim.
Anyway, thanks very much to both of you for joining me. Appreciate it. Good to see the
Thanks for
both of
having
you.
us.
Brian, good to see you sitting in your normal seat. You did
Yeah,
a great
thank
job
God,
last week.
I never want to host again, ever.
What have we got? Do we know what we have next week?
We got
What have we got? That's what I'm asking you. Do we
Oh,
know what's
right.
out next week? You're the movie editor,
Pretty
Brian.
sure it's Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's
the
gonna
big
be
one.
David
the big
Leitch
Yeah.
directing Deadpool 2. Charlize Theron. It just
Oh.
looks like it's the absolute.
And Annabelle Creation.
And Annabelle Creation.
That's
Good. Next week's
such
gonna-
good reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Lights Out. The
that'll
guy
be an
directed Lights
interesting
Out. It's going to be a belting week next week, folks. So please do join us 9 p.m. next Thursday. Thanks so much.